Welcome back to another episode of the Best Book Club. I'm your host, Seselim, aka NeufAtora, and on this episode, I have the great pleasure of talking with arghtime, a DeviantArt legend known for works like You Give a Girl a Wedgie and the Simulated Seduction series, both of which are widely regarded as some of the best stories the community has. Today, we'll be discussing the limits or outer bounds of Wedgie literature. Thanks for coming on, arghtime.
Yep, it's good to be here. We're going to have a fun time. It's going to be great.
Absolutely. I am sincerely looking forward to it, and I know a lot of people are as well. So, awesome. I think the best way to start this discussion is really to start with realism. Because realism, in my mind, sort of sets what are the limits and the outer bounds of what can be done and what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, and that kind of thing. So you saw this a little bit before. I just wanted to explain this to you. I've mentioned this in multiple other podcasts. It's the different earths that I see realism fall under. So basically, when I'm looking at realism, I'm not necessarily looking at it from the perspective of how we live life every single day on planet Earth. I'm looking at it as the story or movie, whatever it is, follows the rules of the universe that the creator sets up. And so with that, I have 4 different kinds of, I just call them Earths as a term, just to help get the point across.
My flat Earth, my trapezoid Earth, my sphere Earth, square Earth.
So, I have these 4 Earths. The first one is realistic Earth, where Earth is normal as we live it every day. Alternate Earth, where Earth is changed to some degree, with Wedgies being a center focus. Idealistic Earth, where Earth is changed to fit the desires of the Wedgie community or some aspect of it, depending on the writer. And fantastical Earth, where Earth is changed to be unrecognizable. So I'm curious, how do you think?
Interesting.
Yeah, how do you feel that realism fits into?
I find it interesting that you're trying to put levels to it. I often would just say that realism is based on the world you've created. You putting 4 Earths of different levels is trying to make it you're trying to explain it there's these many levels, but in reality it's you establish the rules of your world, the story you write. You establish the story rules and you stick to them no matter what. The rules of your world are critical to making your world believable. I don't care. It doesn't matter if underwear stretches 2 miles. If that's consistently what it does,
yes,
then that is the rules of your world. You can't just be it stretches 2 miles and then suddenly it only stretches 2 inches in other cases. Or if you're going to do it like this, underwear has different stretchability based on the power levels of the character or whatever. You gotta come up with some form of rule set for how you're gonna tell to the reader what the fuck your world is about. So if your world is crazy wedgies, then you gotta have it so you have crazy wedgies. But what is a normal? Is a normal just always an atomic, or is a normal just a small pull? You sort of need to frame it to the reader of what is consistently the level of a wedgie that is ridiculous or not. And it's largely based on your writing ability, I guess, selling the pain or the pleasure.
Absolutely, yeah. And I kind of just have those different levels as just kind of a way to quantify different stories. Because I am curious, when I've read a lot of different stories, and it seems to be that all of these stories seem to fall under different kinds of realism. Regardless of the rules that they set up, they do the trends that I've noted do seem to fall under categories to a certain extent. But at the end of the day, I do agree with you 100%. It really just does come down to the creators or the writers or what have you sticking to those rules.
What you're trying to do is just trying to make it like simpler to explain, like easier to explain, rather than this like little abstract thing I sold. You're like, all right, there's these levels, and you're trying to be able to quantify each thing, as you said. So
exactly,
I understand. I just think it's hard to really quantify like so many. You're oh my god, the community has written so many stories.
Yes,
like you're gonna have, even with your 4-level system, you're still gonna have outliers, and you're just like, whatever. This is this is my system. Whatever.
Absolutely, and there's nothing concrete about it. This is just what I've noticed. So, and I change it all the time. So there's nothing set in stone or anything.
Yeah.
So I guess.
All right.
I'm glad that we're on kind of the same page with realism then, because then I guess it makes it
realism is weird.
Yes,
because technically our fetish, it's like, let's just think of it. It's like, I want only realistic wedgies, and it's like that is really limiting. And also the fact that wedgies are actually not that hard to get out of, and they're very easy to resist. Like just grabbing the underwear and pulling up, it's like a quick snap of a thing, and then like they can instantly like roll back into you. They can fall down. They could just break your center of gravity, and you just fall over. And it's like, that's not what people want. People don't want realism. What they want is to make it sound believable to them. So there's like a scale of how crazy they're willing to go. Like some people, like, I just want the underwear to be pulled up for like a couple of minutes or a few seconds, or just get a nice good pull and describe the depth that goes up the crack and whatever. And other people are like, I just want them to be literally a ball of underwear by the end of this. And it's like, you just got to have your tolerance level.
Yeah.
Like how crazy you want it to go.
Yeah. It is interesting in that regard. So I guess that that's a good way to bring it into what do you think would be an actual limit? Like how far do you think someone can go before it's too far out there? Even for having an understanding of realism as the person follows the rules, and even if they set the rules as super extreme, is there a limit even?
You got me pondering for a second here.
That's the point.
I think it is tricky because it is largely based on the reader/writer. Now, what I think would be important is consistency. If you break if there's no consistency in your story, like how would I say, a character being undefeatable, but then suddenly they get defeated by a character they've fought before with no change, like some inconsistent thing.
Yeah.
Like there is no status quo, nothing changed. It's just they're winning, and then suddenly the next time they meet, they lose, and it's poorly explained. It doesn't make any sense. If it was going back to the fetish, there's so many things I would like to say. It's just like, how believable is it to force that character into that situation? I mean, like technically, superheroes are kind of get a little bit wonky with like when you introduce wedgies into them, because like it's like Wonder Woman gets her underwear pulled up, and then she turns around and cuts her head off with a sword. It's like, okay, but that didn't work. All right. But in our stories, it's like the underwear goes up, and suddenly they become a debilitated, crippled, unable to do anything about it. And it's like, okay, so then it's like, all right, so we've shot the character lore right out the window. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's a fetish story. Who cares? Logic be damned. We're gonna have them do what we want with their underwear problems, and it's gonna be great. But you get the point. Is like, there's some things is like, why do you give them superpowers and then act like they become unable to do anything when someone gets a hold of their underwear? It's just, it's not really a problem per se, because I'm pretty sure I've done it, and like I know I'm doing it, and I'm just like, I almost look in the mirror and I'm like, this makes no sense, and then the guy in the mirror looks back and it's like, it's a fetish, no one cares, just go underwear go up, and they're like, you're right, underwear go up, and then you just go.
Yeah.
Just go.
That's actually something I was going to ask you, is like, with like, because that is such a big thing in stories that use superheroes and that kind of thing. Like their only weakness happens to be wedgies, and then they just become a helpless, crying mess, and they can't do anything. I guess that kind of answers that question.
Some superheroes are just would look so good with underwear over their head, but then you're like, this doesn't make any sense. But then you're like, but my horniness says it's okay, so we're gonna make it work. It's just like, it's like Starfire would not care if she had her underwear over her eyes. She'd be like, well, this is interesting. I can't see anything. I mean, I guess I could just pull an atomic is not crippling technically. You could just pull it off your head.
Yeah.
Unless it's like super tight, and then at that point, like, how did you get it over the head? Jesus.
Yeah, and your head is pulled back, and that's when it becomes painful.
Yeah. So you're like, it's like Starfire, like Wonder Woman, She-Hulk.
Yes.
I know Carl, or the Killer WC's favorite girl is She-Hulk, and it's just like, there's no way she would ever get hurt by her own underpants. She like shrugs off missiles and tank bullets, and it's just like her underwear goes up, and all of a sudden, like, it's all over.
Yep.
She's gone. She's done. She's no longer She-Hulk. She's She-Nerd.
Yep. Oh, that's perfect. Yep. Oh man. So I guess going along with that, when we're talking about fan fiction, and I guess in a way appropriating other people's and companies' characters and works into our own stories and art and what have you, how far do you think someone should be able to go with that kind of thing?
You mean interject wedgies into a fandom?
Yeah,
all right.
And like how far can they stretch the believability of a character actually introducing wedgies to them, that kind of thing?
Well, obviously I'll do the safe answer of it depends from fandom to fandom, but I have tried this before. Early on, I wrote like a story for Danny Phantom with wedgies, and I tried to make it somewhat believable. So it starts off kind of weird. Starts off with fighting, which is like, but in my fetish story, like actually fighting a ghost, like a beast ghost, not a ghost that would get one. And then it always comes off as kind of like you have to I want wedgies in the story. I'm putting them in the story. Goddamn the lore, or screw the lore, whatever. So I have to introduce a new character. I introduce a new character to the lore, to the story. So I introduce an outside character that could plausibly bring underwear yankings into the situation. And then from there, I use that character to add wedgies into the story. And then like it becomes a segue. It's like, okay, the wedgie has been introduced by this new character. How do the characters react to it now? Or what happens with that? And I think I did like a jealous girl take, I think is what I ended up doing. Yeah. It was like I could probably be more specific, but it just, if you want to read it, I think it was called like, I'm not even going to look it up. Just search Danny Phantom on my page, or it's like one of my oldest stories. Not very many people read it, and it's probably for the best, because it's an experiment. It was experimenting, trying to organically fit wedgies into the story, and you have to. It's almost impossible. Like, I mean, Danny gets them, but not Sam or Paulina or any of the other girls really don't have underwear problems. So it's like, technically they're in there, but they are given to the males, and it's just like, well, now the girls are going to get it, so screw it.
Yeah.
I don't really have a solid ending to that, other than just like, it's about making it believable so like, either you have a character that logically would give them, or you introduce a new character or an element that introduces wedgies into the universe, and then have the characters react to it.
Yeah.
That's my takeaway.
That definitely makes sense.
Sure, it sounds good. We're gonna go selling the BS, but
it's like, I mean, it's not BS. It makes sense to me, and it definitely, like, when I think about it, like, especially with some of the most popular community wedgie girls that we've kind of appropriated from other fandoms, we do stretch that believability in my mind a good bit with like Starfire, Raven, we have Wonder Woman, She-Hulk, all of them. And so many more.
The infamous Naruto series.
Yes, that's exactly what I was gonna say.
Yeah, just like I was like the Naruto. At this point, I don't watch Naruto, and I didn't watch Naruto back then. But at this point, I was just assuming that it's all about wedgies at this point, or it's like, it's all about wedgies. I don't care. Screw the lore. It's now a wedgie universe.
Yeah, it is interesting how I'm very curious about like what the inception of these characters becoming wedgie girls and community, essentially community property in a way.
Well, I know I've ruined a Jury. I turned Jury from a villainous vixen into whatever I want, and I know exactly what I'm doing because it doesn't make any sense for her to be a receiver. She would definitely be a giver in lore if she was to actually give them. She's just like a seductress, temptress, seductive.
Yep.
She's aggressive, assertive, dominating, and it's like, yep, and now you're going to be designated as the wedgie bitch, and that is your role. And she goes, arghtime, why did you do this to me? And it's like, because horny. And then it's like, and she's like, well, I'm going to not let you do it. And it's like, you can't, I have the power. And it's like, what do you mean you have the power? I'm literally stronger than you in canon. It's like, yeah, but you're not real. So I just can write down on the story, you have underwear problem and you lose. And she's like, dang it. And then all of a sudden she's wrapped up in a giant mummy underpants cocoon and she's just hanging there twitching. And it's like, my work here is done.
Well, yeah, that's probably one of your most popular, not OCs, but just one of your most popular characters is Jury, and I've definitely seen a lot of your work in that regard. Excuse me.
I've definitely commissioned some work of her, and I've written a few stories with her.
Yeah, I
times.
think I've seen most of them. And it does bring up an interesting topic of like just regarding you and your OCs and your. I guess I'm going to keep using the word appropriation of different fandom characters. Is there a process that you follow when you're going at, like, when you choose a specific character?
For simulated seduction, or just choose a character I like?
Regardless.
I seem to be into vixens or bad characters.
Okay.
It's very interesting. The battle with I know Brit Crust was a recent one of mine, and it had nothing to do with the show. It had everything to do with like the art outside the show, like what the artist's rendition of her would be. And it's just like, I'm like, God damn it, they won me over. But I seem to like bad girls. It seems to be a common trend with me, or at least my main girls seem to be bad.
Okay.
And when that's not super important. The thing is, like, when I pick a girl, I think I just pick it because I like them. It's a really shallow take, but eventually I just warm up to them. He's like, you know what? Screw it. I want. And I do. I want it. I do it. It's not like the rocket science wise, like, I want to write the story. I have an idea for them. I do it. For simulated seductions, I do pick characters I kind of like. I come up with like a simple scenario, because simulated seductions is not like a long form story of like deep character interactions or philosophical realizations or fighting the good fight. It's literally just, all right, it's you, it's them, wedgie, go, and just sell it like that. Just come up with a situation that makes sense. And I do it. It's kind of happens. I wish there was like a actual way I could point out, but it's generally just applying traits of the character, thinking wedgie, go from there. Situation character. Yep. Right.
Okay. I mean, it's all fascinating to me, just seeing the mind, seeing how your mind works with these kinds of things, because I've been following you for a long time, and I've definitely been curious about these kinds of things. So just any kind of insight you can give on this kind of thing is fascinating to me. And I guess that kind of helps bring into the equation your OCs, your original characters. How do they factor into all this?
Steal.
How do they how did you come up with them, and where did they come from? And I guess that's the best way to put it. How do you come up with them?
How do I come up with them? Well, much like, since they're not real people, I do try to give them some like traits and realistic stuff, but God forbid anyone knows what they are, because I've done a really poor job of actually representing my OCs in like any deep or meaningful way. I have little stories I have of them that I just keep in my head, but the core way I come up with an OC is I come up with an idea. So with Pammy, I wanted a nerd, and I was like, I'll make him tall, because it's kind of weird. Like originally Pammy was the tall nerd, and there was a short bully that never saw the light of day. So she doesn't exist. I have pictures of her. She doesn't exist, basically, though. And that was the joke. It's like, all right, tall nerd gets picked on by short nerd bully. It's like, all right, that's a nice little twist. And I think it's not just sort of shell. I just sort of like experimented. I don't necessarily think of race or skin color or like nationality when I come up with a character. I sort of just like go with a look and just keep going. So I don't necessarily think. But then that gets into the debate of like, why did you make the character this way and not that way? And it's just like, that's just how I made them. I try to keep my characters unique, diverse. I try not to just make the same character over and over again. Try to give them unique personalities, distinct looks, traits, qualities, and stuff like that. And it's hard to get like really in depth without picking a character. I would say Sierra literally just started out as like tomboy, and she was originally part of a trio that was loosely based off of the original Final Fantasy girls, so Tifa, Aerith, and Yuffie. And she was the Tifa knockoff in a sense. She was originally the Tifa, and then I had a magic one that never saw the light of day, and then the ninja one was Nina, and she's black with the yellow and black. She's black, yellow, and black, and I think she was called Nina Jin. I remember my characters. I have so many, and they were originally like a Final Fantasy knockoff. But then I just moved Sierra away from that, and she became like a tomboy. And I was like, she kind of is, 'cause she has suspenders and whatever. And I was like, tomboy, and I was like, briefs, whatever, screw it. That's her unique trait. Don't see a lot of that in the community.
Yeah.
And now she is like, I think she's the iconic brief girl at this point. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any other. And honestly, like, I think you've done a fantastic job of just making all your OCs stand out and be super different from each other, and just entirely different from any other OC in the community. Like when I think of your OCs, Sierra, Pammy, even the ones that aren't technically your OCs, like Yuri, I just like automatically think, yeah, that's arghtime right there. So yeah, you've done a very good job with that. Which of them is your favorite?
Dun, 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 I plead the fifth.
Wow. So you don't have one, or you're not willing to say?
Honestly, it will vary. It's inconsistent. I do kind of have a soft spot for Ashla, sort of in the lore. And honestly, if I was to break down the lore of Royal Academy at this point, if I was going to write any lore, it would most likely be like, you'd have to consume it via a wiki, because screw the stories. I would just rather write the beats out, write the character interactions, and then just like have pictures of them having underwear problems, because most people would probably just care about the underwear problems. And then if they wanted to see the lore, they could read a wiki article on it and then kind of just jump around the timeline or whatever. Because writing stories is... Oh god. Computer? Holy crap.
Everything good?
Yeah, we're good. We'll keep that in there. Okay. I gotta apparently have something open. All right, continue. Or I was continue. No, you continue.
Okay. Well, so the Royal Academy, there was someone who was wondering if you were planning to continue Royal Academy at some point.
I find myself wanting to, but I also find myself really poor at breaking it down into smaller chunks. And then it becomes like I become self-conscious of like, who am I writing this for? Am I writing this for me? Am I writing this for the fans? I should be writing it for me, but oftentimes when I do something for me, I just keep it in my head. So I've gone over Royal Academy like so many times in my head, and it kind of changes every now and again. I keep weaving in new elements, introducing new stories, like making it better for me to understand. So if I was to continue Royal Academy, I would most likely make it less about a story and more of like a universe. Like I would like have like the tablets of what happened in Royal Academy, and you could skim through, you could read through them and be like, okay, so this is what happens, and this is Sierra and the arc she went through, and this is Ashel and the arc she went through, and this is Rachel and the arc she went through, and then like you're like, all right, I got a kind of a bit of a lore, and then I could flesh it out as I wanted to. So I could like, oh, I'll write this story out, or I'll write this story out, and I don't have to go in order. I think the order part is what's killing me. Going in order and keeping it interesting for people to read. Oh, and also keeping the wedgies in it, because like there'd be slow parts, and some people were like, wear underwear, and then it was like, well, it's all downhill from here. Why am I making a fetish story?
I mean, my mindset with that kind of thing is like, if you write it for yourself, then you'll draw the audience that you want. I
should write for myself. That's the thing. It's just, it's good old confidence problems and whatnot. I'm not going to dwell too much on those, but I am my harshest critic. And oh my God, I am a harsh critic.
As most people are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely in that same boat.
Isn't everyone?
Yeah, it's natural. It's natural. I mean, you're the person who knows the most about what you're writing, and so you have all the ideas and all the concepts and all that, and so you think like, is this really gonna work? Are people gonna like it? Like, because I mean, at the end of the day, you still think like, even if you're writing for yourself, you're like, are people actually gonna like this or not? So
it's the conundrum of writing fetish stories. It's like, I want to care, but then people are just here for the wedgies. So then how much should I care? Because it's like, what are people here for? Like, they'll come for the wedgies and hopefully they'll stay for the lore. That's what you would hope. That's what I hope. Yeah. But obviously that's like just because some people are just here to see wedgies and be like, yes, slap the nut button and call it a day. And other people are like, you know what? I'm actually invested. I'm going to read this story and make my nuts more enjoyable.
Wow, that's a way to describe it I haven't heard before.
The deeper nuts.
Slap the nut button. That's a great way to describe it. I mean, you look at stories. You might have heard these. You might not have. I mean, you look at stories like YWNR, Lucy and Daniela, Two Worlds, Friend Sessions, Karate Friend. These stories, they were written for the person who was writing. Like, the person was writing it for themselves, but because they were focusing on that and writing an actual story, they've inspired many people to start writing, and those writers have produced great work. When I think of, like, if I want to just write some jack off material or write an actual story, to some level, I kind of think of, like, what kind of legacy is it going to leave? Is it going to stick in people's minds years down the road? Or is it just going to be something like they're browsing through DeviantArt or Lucky Fetish or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, that's the, all right, I'm just going to, when they're
find the ancient stone tablets of arghtime. Yes, his legacy. He seems to have ruined this Jury character.
I honestly, like, with like Jury and the characters like that, that's a lot of the time that's the only exposure I have to those characters. So
you're welcome.
In a way, you have helped me. Um, with those characters, with those characters though, with fandom characters, are there any others that you see that you could turn into any other Wedgie girls or community Wedgie girls, like you did Jury and Brit?
I like Peridot. I'm gonna bring her around more.
And that's from.
It's Steven Universe.
Okay, yeah, I was thinking.
I feel bad for liking it, but the heart likes what the heart likes. It may be like the internet's in a big fluff of how good it is, and like, you know what? I don't care. I just like the characters. Leave me alone. So then, I might bring. I think Jinx needs some more representation.
Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah, like you got Starfire, you got Raven. What about Jinx? She's good.
Oh, yes, but
and let's not forget, I technically did kind of bring Alex from Totally Spies.
A little bit.
She's kind of around.
A little bit. Not enough. Definitely not enough. I think all three of them need more exposure.
Yeah, I did have a stint of trying to give them more exposure. Tried my best, but they fell out of flavor for me. I come in waves. I come and go. It's not like they're bad. It's just my attention went to I like girls with horns apparently. Jinx, Jury. It's like two of them right there. Holy crap! I have a type. I have a hair type apparently.
What about the MS Paint Adventures? I never read it. My brother was super into it. There's a couple of them like that with horns, and that it's not hair, it's actual horns. What about? Would you consider going into that? Monster girls? I guess, if that's weird.
Is that what we're talking about?
I guess so. I don't know what they are.
Let's just get weird. Let's get weird. I think it's less about how they look per se. Well, who am I kidding? Look is very important.
Yes.
Look is very important, but it's like if I can tolerate looking at them, we're good. And then how they act as a character also helps. So it starts off with like, all right, I can tolerate looking at this character, and all right, I like the personality, and we can go from there usually.
Okay.
I think I still have an ideas of, because you know what a Lamia is, right? It's like a half girl, half snake.
The name sounds familiar, but
I think it's a Lamia. Lamia? I think it's a Lamia.
I can look it up real quick.
Maybe you'll get a comment about how the arghtime doesn't know how to say snake girls correctly. So
Lamia, yeah. Yep, it was a child eating
I always kind of wanted to like do a goofy story about them getting one, because it makes literally no sense how they'd get a Wedgie. It's very illogical.
Yeah. Just looking at pictures of them, that doesn't quite make sense, but
screw logic.
It's a Greek monster, so maybe it can shapeshift into a girl.
Screw that. We're gonna make the snake body part work.
Oh, okay.
Screw logic. Screw logic. They're gonna be like, you can't hurt me. I don't have a butt. And then it was like arghtime is like, I will it be so. And then all of a sudden they're like, how did you do this? This doesn't make any sense. Where did this underwear come from? And I was like, screw logic. I love wedgies. And it just goes from there. It's actually just like a short comic, and just the snake just being absolutely defeated, and was like, I don't get this. Damn you.
Well, talking about the comics, you do have it seems like you have a lot more comics on your page than you do stories, which is very interesting to me.
I used Kisekai, which I think everyone knows by now. Yes. I'd hope so. It was an art program. Is it an art program? It's more like a doll posing program. You come up with it gives you like a doll, and you can put clothes on it. It's how it helped me visualize my characters, because I think describing them was describing them the way you want them to look is like completely, like Sierra probably would look very different in everyone's mind if I tried to describe her instead of like showing an image of her, because like there's a lot of features that are, how would I say, like, do you really want to read like a giant paragraph of how a character looks? You kind of want to get the idea of them. Like, you want to sell their core features. The core features of Sierra is suspenders. Her midriff is her midriff is showing. Midriff is showing, and she's wearing shorts. And that's like her core character, like a jacket. You don't want to spend too much time. So you'd be like, Sierra is a blonde-haired tomboy, blondish brown. What the? I don't even know. I picked that hair color and I don't know what it is. I think it was like autumn brown, autumn dirty blonde, a dirty blonde tomboy with short hair, suspenders, midriff showing, shorts. They look like cargo shorts, I think, or khakis. Because that was the only shorts we really had in Kisekai for the longest time, or that looked good, or those are the only, and they just kind of, it's kind of how it goes. It's just Kisekai helped me shape her, and that's how she looks. God forbid describing her. I don't want to. I think the issue is like, how detailed do you want to describe the character? So having the pictures alongside, and then like using the pictures to like alleviate some of the descriptions is good. So I don't have to waste paragraphs describing how a character looks.
I wouldn't necessarily even say that it's wasting paragraphs if you do it right.
Doing it right is hard.
Yes.
And keeping it interesting is also the thing.
Yes.
Because like you can do it right, but you might just bore the reader out. Because it's like, all right, time for three paragraphs about how beautiful her hair looks. Every single strand of hair is a different color. Let's go with that.
I mean,
that'll annoy people.
That I would say that's how you do it wrong.
That's how you do it.
Like the best example that comes to mind when it comes to this kind of thing is Harry Potter to me. And this kind of falls in line with the question that I had for you, where do you think it's better to allow the reader to visualize characters for themselves, or just show them as exactly what's in your mind? Like with Harry Potter, before I saw the movies, I even still, like, I kind of forget the movies when I'm reading the books, and like I have my own picture. It's gonna fall in line somewhat with what J.K. Rowling intended the character to look like in her mind, but because you have like the green eyes and the black hair, it's messy and like that kind of with Harry, but I do kind of have my own conceptualization of the character, and it allows me in a way to sort of engage more with the story, and it's not like 3 paragraphs or a page of this is exactly what the character looks like. The details are sprinkled throughout. So I guess to restate the question,
it is important to let the reader find their own enjoyment in the story.
Yes.
And I was very clunky about introducing my characters in Royal Academy when I first started out. I do know that. I think I did a paragraph for each character where I'd look at the image and just describe them in the image. And that probably was a mistake. Or that is a mistake. It was very clunky. I think I would have to trust my audience to be like, all right, I have images of how my characters look, so I don't have to waste entire paragraphs going over how they look. And just like describe them in the moment and get the key features across of how I want to present the scene. It's more important to present the scene correctly. So like, if Ashel is there, she's cracking her knuckles and looking at Pammy with a grin on her face is more important than like knowing how she did her hair up or how big her butt is.
That was a great sound effect right there that you're cracking.
I am actually cracking my knuckles right now. It's great.
Yes, so am I. I was about to... what was that? Shit, I forgot what the question was. Damn it.
I'm helping.
There was a fucking... I had a question, and I was about to put it down, and then I started cracking my knuckles, and it completely flew out of my mind.
Does that have to do with Ashel's big butt?
No. Nothing specific character. Nah, it might come back. It probably won't come back to me, but if it does, then I'll ask it.
All right, well, here's a great topic. I just remember because Ashel invisible underwear. Yes. I think that's all I really have to say about that. Invisible underwear is so good. Like, just coming out of the pants.
Oh, invisible.
So underused.
Okay.
Like, peeking above the pants.
Mm-hmm.
I get more of that stuff out there.
Yeah.
So you can see the underwear above the pants. Oh.
Yes, absolutely. Ooh, that's
so underused.
I feel like that's such a huge drive as to why so many people get into this fetish in the first place, is like they
even give a wedgies because they can see the underwear. It's like gives them the idea.
But even in real life, where like they see just girls in school with their underwear peeking out above their pants, it's like,
the baggy shorts.
That's a big reason why I got into it in the first place, because of that.
It's like, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
Oh, the underwear could go up.
It just drives your imagination crazy because there's
your
so
third
much,
eye opens and it's like underwear go up.
There's so much
and
you
then
want to
just
do.
transcend, and then you just end up on a cringe community.
There's so much you want to do that you can't do. It's like a taboo thing.
Not supposed to. Yeah, you don't touch IRL girls, people.
Yes. Yeah. Do not
keep your 2D waifus.
Well, I mean, you're providing all these fantastic segues into the different questions and things that I want to talk about. What types of panties do you like to see on different character types?
I find myself a big fan of full coverage, I think is the term.
Okay.
Because
like granny pants.
It's all right. Here's my logic behind it. All right, full coverage. You see the underwear, and you're like, oh my god, there's a butt under there. I want to see the butt. So then you pull it up. It's like, oh my god, there's the butt with a thong. You pull the pants down. You see the butt, and you're like, all right, well, that was it. I'm done. There's already a wedgie.
Okay.
But with more fabric, you're like, I can play with this. There's more room to experiment. There's so much room for activities.
Yeah.
Just have fun with it.
I definitely agree.
Not to knock on thong people,
Yeah.
The simpletons that just like it's strings.
The simpletons.
The simpletons, like they just like less fabric, and like more power to. They just want to see the butt.
Yeah.
And I love the under. You gotta appreciate it in steps. You gotta go in steps.
Yeah.
You got the pants. It's like, oh, the pants. There's underwear under there. I wonder what the underwear looks like. And then you see the underwear and you're like, oh, the underwear. I want to see what's under the underwear, and then you'll pull it up. And you're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm definitely in that same camp. I like maybe to a certain to a very extreme limit. I like the bigger the better, but there's a very extreme limit with that. But it's a very
you don't want the underwear to be like a literal trash bag.
Yes, but
like
basically
I will now hide inside my own underpants. Presto.
Yes, but basically within that. The bigger the better.
Obviously, I can like less fabric is fine. It's just I'd probably prefer it when there's like just more fabric.
So you really don't have a specific type for different personalities or characters. It's just like do you generally prefer just a specific type of underwear?
Well, it's sort of shallow. It's like I like atomic wedgies, so like
yes.
I have to like the underwear that would give it. It's just for me. It's like I know like people like patterns, but most of the time patterned underwear isn't that stretchy. So it's like I can appreciate it, and then in drawings you can have patterns go over the head, but like IRL they don't.
Yes.
So you get kind of depressed, but then you're like, you know what? It's sort of like I have like little logical steps I go through, which is kind of interesting. I just go like, all right, I like atomic wedgies. So to get atomic wedgies, I kind of need like plain stretchy underwear, which usually looks like this. And in like if I had complete control over what was stretchy and what was not, what would I even like? I kind of like polka dots. Polka dots are nice. I am a sucker for plain underwear though. It's like the OG underwear.
Yes.
The original gangster. The original geek.
Oh yeah, that's great right there.
The original geek right there.
Okay, so pink or white?
I think I blame cartoons for white.
Okay.
A lot of cartoons had like white underwear.
Yes.
Because it was mostly males, so like I just kind of was like, just white underwear, please. Okay, thanks. Because that's like the easiest to animate or something.
Yes.
I don't know, to help the artist out or something.
Or it was just funny. Like
white underwear go up.
Nice. Yeah. Okay. I think I'm definitely I like designs. I'll be honest. It's like I
don't fault you. It's like it was like there's personality to designs. It's like why did they pick that?
Yes.
And honestly, I think some people just pick the designs because it's in the underwear bag. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I know some people order special panties though, so like
yes.
Then they can go out of their way to pick the ones they want. But then those are like special ones, and they probably don't want a wedgie in those. Because it's special. They would rather just have a wedgie in the generic underwear that's not so expensive.
Yeah. Like, Starfire comes to mind, where, like, it's always, like, she always, like, or I guess Hanada's even a better example, like, the teddy bears, or...
The teddy bear propaganda.
Yeah, or, like, I guess, like, Starfire, Raven, the My Little Pony.
Do they even have set underwear?
Yeah, that's My Little Pony. I guess Raven is really bad. Raven is kind of...
Well, I think wasn't that recently from... That came recently, though, from Teen Titans Go, I think.
I don't know about recently. I've known about it for a little while, and I didn't write it myself.
Well, if I was to rain on your parade, the fabric largely comes from the people who like the characters. So then they assign what underwear they like on them. It's kind of why Jury has polka dots.
I know.
It's gonna ruin people's fun. Is like, do you think they actually wear that? I don't think Raven even wears underwear under her leotard.
Well, okay.
Or if she wears a thong.
How about this then? So, are the characters that we take from different fandoms and bring into our community, our fetish, are they the same characters or are they different characters?
This is actually an easy question. They are different characters. As much as you want them to be exactly like the characters in the show, they're not, because you're not the creator of them.
Yes.
So what you do is you basically copy and paste them into your lore, and then you add features to them that you like. You assign quirks to them, little things that you like about them. But that's not them, because you're not the owner of the character. But you become an owner of this copy of the character. So when I write Jury, that Jury is mine, and it's not the canon Jury, it's my Jury. So arghtime Jury is different than, I know Just Trying likes Jury. Just Trying's Jury is different than my Jury, and so on and so forth.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I figured it would be a pretty simple question, a pretty simple answer. That's kind of why I asked it, because, like, yeah, you're very correct. It's like we do assign these sort of quirks and what have you, and we take the most basic characteristics of these characters, like Starfire with the cluelessness of Earth customs, and it's such an easy...
The naivety.
The naivety, and playing on that too, like she doesn't know what a wedgie is, and so Starfire can introduce, Raven can say, well, this is a wedgie, like, oh, this is okay, it does a...
I think I've done that story.
You and Saseda then.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not that hard. It's not like it's an original idea.
Yeah.
It's kind of like... It's sort of like, well, at this point, you'd have to think that she'd have to know about customs at some point during the show, but, like, everyone just latches onto it, so they kind of Flanderize her in that regard. It's like, Starfire, she doesn't know shit about Earth.
Even though she knows how to speak English.
Yeah, she'll get a wedgie and is like, why are you giving me a flobinar? And you're like, okay. Yeah. Oh, this is like a ceremonial thing where we do this every 2 moons on our planet, and just like you just make shit up. Yeah. Okay. That kind of draws back. And then the community's gonna be like, wait a second, I don't think flobinars exist.
I mean, I think the people who are reading those kinds of stories aren't really questioning.
I just want to see Starfire's butt filled with underwear.
Yes.
Screw the logic.
Yeah, and that kind of feeds back into what we were talking about before with the fan fiction. How far you're able to go with that kind of thing.
As about as far as your degenerate mind really wants to go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty simple answer. I don't know how else to. It'd just be like, if you're a depraved sicko, you can do whatever you want, really. Just don't expect everyone to agree with you. I can't, like, some people want some weird things, and and I can't be like, kink shaming. You know, it's not nice to do, but god damn it, don't show me your kink if it's that weird.
I can definitely.
I don't want to see it. Like, if I see it on accident, I'm like, god damn. But if you shove it in my face, I'm like, get the shit out of my face.
Sometimes literally.
Yeah, get this literally out of my face. I do not want to know this exists.
Well, I meant
and they're like too late.
Oh, I meant like shit is a fetish. So like sometimes literally it's like get this shit out of my face.
I read in between the lines. I have 4 brain cells.
Okay, I wanted to make sure.
They call it scat. I'm the scat man.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. When I stumble upon some of those stories on DA, it's like, oh, why? I don't understand.
Searching DeviantArt new and wedgies is always a gamble because you just never know what's going to be there. In fact, just searching for new wedgies can be eye pain inducing.
Yeah.
It's just I'm not into all that stuff, man.
Mm-hmm.
I can't feel like I don't want to see it. I'm looking for new wedgies, so I find it. I'm like, God damn it, why did I find this?
Yeah, I guess that's.
I made a mistake.
I guess that's maybe that's how some people see the wedgie fetish. Maybe that's how some people see that.
I always think wedgies are very tame,
absolutely,
comparatively to other things. So like, there are some weird wedgie pictures out there, but like just seeing, I would say seeing. I mean, technically, like some fighting games have characters with perma wedgies, like Cammy. Her underwear is always she's not wearing a leotard and it's just always up.
Yeah.
There, so like it's not completely unreasonable that people like seeing stuff up there or seeing the tightness or just seeing butt. They'll just think of it seeing butt, I guess. Yeah. There's definitely images that are weird. The Wedgiesaurus is technically one of those the fringe things.
Yeah.
I blame myself for that. I just wanted to see a girl get one, and then I did, and now people do want to see more of those, and I'm like, maybe I've gone too far in a few places.
Yeah. Okay. So I have like a half-formed question, but it kind of falls in line with that, like, because like I think of like when you brought that up, I also thought what came to mind was also like the centaur wedgie, like.
Don't believe their propaganda. I posted actual pictures of what a centaur wedgie would look like. I think it is the actual centaur wedgie on my DeviantArt. Don't believe their propaganda.
Oh, with the one with Pammy.
Yeah, Pammy and Gale.
Yeah, and they're like flipped back.
Yeah, I'll push back against the centaur because it's more like, I'm gonna be honest, like the wedgie that they describe as the centaur is more like it's more like the a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So the Pythagorean theorem wedgie. Yeah, basically the Pythagorean theorem wedgie because you got their face in the butt, so you're basically making that triangle.
Yep.
Face and butt, and they're standing up straight. It's that iconic geometry triangle. Because that's how the underwear is working.
Yeah, the underwear makes the other side.
Yeah. So like what I did was I just had Gail's underwear connect all the way to Pammy's stuck in Pammy's underwear and pulled down, and then her underwear is pulled over her head. So it's kind of it makes more like a centaur to me. Because that's the body of the centaur is Pammy.
Yeah.
Pammy's face and Gale is the centaur. And then the underwear is like covering her, like, you know, a centaur usually gets in like the costumes or whatever.
I didn't know that you considered that the legitimate centaur. Okay.
I called it the actual centaur wedgie for a reason.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the title did not come to my mind, but I was able to think of the picture.
I'm gonna throw shade out here. You gotta. The only way to create interesting topics is to cause drama. Let's go.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's the only way to do it.
Yep. That's the only way to get anyone talking about anything is just get people really angry about stuff that's inane.
Yeah. I guess pivoting away from this part of the conversation a little bit, I'm curious what are some things that immediately draw you in or push you away when you're reading stories?
Well, I'm going to let everyone in on I don't think it's a very big secret, but I struggle to read stories nowadays. It's probably because of the confidence issue, but it's also because I'm very critical of when I'm reading. I just start asking questions, and I get annoyed really fast at myself. I'm like, why am I doing this? Let me enjoy things. And my brain's like, no, you're not allowed to enjoy this. Why is this happening the way it is? I'm just like, can I just turn my brain off? I don't care that wedgies are not this common. Stop. No, it doesn't make sense that She-Hulk got crippled from a wedgie. No, stop. I just want to. It's probably just because of. I just got to get just chill. But then you got to remember that when you're reading a story, the writer made those choices. It's like, why did they do that? And you just wonder, why did they include that sentence? Why did they choose that word? Yeah. And I just get overwhelmed with thought. I shouldn't. I should focus. Got to enjoy things, you know? I think, because, I just want to enjoy other people's lore, but sometimes I just find little inconsistencies and flaws that make me scared to write my own lore. And I'm like, I shouldn't care. I shouldn't care this much. But I do want to write well. So I should just let people have their fun. And that's the point. I don't really comment negative things on people. Most people don't comment negative things. And it's probably for the best. Commenting negative stuff usually means that you care. Like, you think about it, and you're like, wait a second, I have a question. And then you ask the question of, hold on, I don't understand this. Why did you do this? And you ask the question. Not a lot of people comment that because, like I said, they're just there to slap the nut button. Or, it's like, there's the nut button again.
Yeah.
But appreciating, I think it's just when I'm reading, I put way more effort into it than I think I should, and that's probably why I don't read. And I just look at pictures, because pictures are worth 1,000 words in 2 seconds of digestibility. I think you're following.
Yeah,
it's not even that complicated.
No, it's I
don't even know why. It's not even that complicated.
I can see where you're coming from. I do definitely pay attention to what's going on in the story, because most of the time I'm not just looking for. I'm not just looking for the button. I'm trying. I'm actually want to read the story, and if that comes up, then all right, I'll do it real quick, and then put on the story. But I'll keep going with the story.
Trying to defend. I'm here for a plot, guys. I swear.
I can't.
I'm here for the plot.
I can't help that it's a sexual interest of mine.
Yeah. Dang it. Okay, so
I guess
I think I don't want to call anyone out, but I do know. I'm gonna say this because I've had this discussion with Siesta. Siesta? Sasuda? Sriracha? Sam Bombadil, whatever his name is. Hopefully someone made it this far in the video and correct me. So, I had this problem with Mercy. His character that was really crazy strong. She suddenly shifts to being completely and utterly defeatable in every way, I think, as his lore went on. So, naturally, that's a big old head scratcher, because where did all of the skill go?
Yeah.
This is like going to Mike Tyson or whatever and saying you lost that one fight and now you are completely and utterly unable to fight ever again.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what I mean. It's just you start to pick up on these sudden character switches, and honestly, it's not really that important. Me raising this question is completely inane, completely irrelevant. All right, this is a non-issue. It's just how you want to tell your story, framing back of what is consistency and inconsistency. That's something I just you establish a character to be able to do something, and then completely strip them of it. Sort of, I think, kind of elaborating back to that point 45 minutes ago or something. You get what I'm saying? Or you can say something now, please.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I agree. You have to keep consistency throughout, because then it will draw people out of the story. I think there is a certain level that you can do it where people will forgive you for it, and they'll look past it. But yeah, I mean, I haven't read the stories that you're talking about, so I'm not quite sure what.
I don't think it. I think it is captured in story form, but it's also captured in image form a lot.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't. I haven't seen them. But I mean, that would draw me out as well, and it sounds like. Basically, what I'm getting is it sounds like you have a very analytical mind, and so that's something that I really appreciate is you're able to look beyond the nut and you're able to see like like that's the best.
You gotta make it a good nut.
You can look beyond the nut, and you gotta be able to appreciate what you're reading or what you're looking at, whether you're searching for the nut or you're just reading or
As the writers here are chiseling away, making the perfect nut for their viewers to enjoy.
I mean,
enjoy the nut, my good sir.
In a way, that's kind of what we're doing.
In a sense, like that's sort of the issue with Royal Academies. Like, it's not always about the nut. There's like some lore elements, and I think that's what ended up shaking me up, because it's like, who am I writing this story for?
Mm-hmm.
As I said before, this comes back. It's like, who am I writing this story for? If I'm writing it for me, why am I writing it and then posting it so people can see it? Like, should I feel pride in this? I mean, it's kind of just a weird story. It's like, why is there wedgies? And it's like, because I want there to be. Why is it all girls? Because I want it to be. It's a lot of these questions are very shallow answers. It's like, why this? Because, and you leave it at that. And I like to have a better reason to explain why I do something. And it's a very weak reason. The reason I why I was writing it is I just wanted to. And honestly, like, if I was to be completely honest with people, sometimes just because you want to is a good enough reason.
Exactly.
Within like laws and stuff, by the way. I am not condoning violence. You know, it's too.
Yes. But I know that's entire. Yes. I completely agree with that. You don't always need this pages long essay of a reason. This is why this happens, and this is why this character's like. You can just have things happen because you want them to, and especially if you're the person creating it.
Yeah.
You can do whatever you want because it's your creation.
It's so true. And then I want people to ask questions so I can explain this, but that's a lot of times they don't ask questions in the comments, and It's like, it's such a hard ask. It's not. A lot of times what I wanted from a story is like just some discussion in the comments, but in reality, that's not what people are there for. So I'm missing the goal of what people are there for. I'm there for the wrong reason. I'm writing for a different reason than what people are reading for. So if I was to go, I could writing is not hard. You just open up the web, you just open up the app and you start hitting keys on the keyboard. But that just simplifies it, because writing is constructing an entire world in a series of events that happen, and making sure you deliver each word is important. Every word you choose is important. You don't want to take too long, but some people also like length in descriptions. But oftentimes with a wedgie, it's a very quick action, and there's only so many ways you can stuff it up the butt, cram the crack, slam the crater, dive deep into the depths. There's only so many ways you can write the splitting of the melon or whatever. Some people just want to read that and have you reiterated on it over and over again, but that story's going nowhere if you just keep iterating on the action over and over again.
Yeah. I think
that also kind of segues into why wedgies end up becoming like, I give them the old yoink, and then I give them the bouncy wouncy, and then I spin them around for the tilt-a-whirl, and then I do like the ping pong paddle, and then that's what ends up happening with wedgies. Is like, you got to keep it interesting, so you got to keep spicing it up and doing something different, because pulling over and over and over again only does so much.
Yeah.
Visually in the story.
Real quick, I think we should take a quick break. And then we'll be right
back.
Right. And we're back.
All right, ask away.
Yeah, so going back a little bit to something we talked about before, are there any examples that you can think of for a story that's just right, or ones that are too much or too little in regards to like it's like the realism of the piece, or it's stretching the believability, or that kind of thing?
Well, let's see here. Do I want to say that? So
Yes, you do.
I think yes, I do. I do, but it's not in a mean way. Like, I'm not trying to be mean, but when you think about it, the Sleep All of 2 Days Ninja War arc is really silly. They're adding ninjas into it's just like, why ninja? I feel like you could go into more detail, but it's sort of funny. Like, it's out of left field. It's like, man, I want to deal with underwear yoinking, and then all of a sudden teenage girls are fighting like a ninja cult or something, and you're like, huh, interesting. And it's not like it's not that it's not entertaining. It's just one of those things you just don't expect. It's like, I didn't think we'd mix ninjas and wedgies like this. I think that's just, it's less necessarily about like that's bad. It's like kind of just reminding people that like just because you like it doesn't mean it's grounded in reality, or it doesn't have to be grounded in reality.
Yeah,
it just could be fun. That's fun introducing ninjas and whatever.
That does bring up an interesting topic of like,
God forbid anyone looks at my lore, by the way. I am completely God. It's like, don't throw stones in the glass house. Like, have you ever think? I've looked at my lore and like, okay, this is stupid.
So
they'll kick down the door and they'll have like this evidence, and I'll have like a giant clipboard of like strings and notes put together of like how stupid my own lore is. I was like, oh, that's a great piece. Let me add that to my collection.
Well, so I mean that brings into that does bring into question a good topic, in my opinion. Like, what sort of when we see new things introduced to the community, like the Centaur Wedgie or things like that, like setting precedents that haven't, like, breaking new ground that hasn't been explored before.
Breaking new cheeks.
Yeah, basically, yeah. In this context, splitting new cheeks. That's a great way to describe it in this context. When it comes to those kinds of things, especially when we're talking about like the sort of the limits or like just realism, where do you think we can go with that kind of thing? Like, how believable is it even that a Centaur Wedgie could exist, or that ninjas could exist in a Wedgie store? Like, how far can we go?
Ninjas be like defeated by Wedgies? Probably not very, like, realistically. Like, what are we talking? Like, the issue with realism is just like, real world's boring, man. Also depressing.
Yes. Yeah.
So like, as long as it makes sense in the story, it should be fine. I think the Ninja War arc is kind of weird, because I think it all stems from one character in particular, and that's the only character that's like the main driving force of it. And then everyone else kind of reacts to it, I think is what happens. So like, it's basically like a giant story dedicated to one person, I think.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, though. I haven't read it myself, but I've gotten snippets of the lore from talking to people, because there's no one really to talk to about Wedgie stories. Like, some people would love to some people would love to complain about stories. People don't like to complain about things, and that's completely fair, because like, they don't want to hurt people's feelings, and it's like, I'm not out here to hurt people's feelings. I just want to ask questions.
Yeah.
And like, asking questions sometimes just like can like offend people, and it's like, that's not the point.
Yeah, you're just curious.
I think it just shows that I care, that I'm thinking about it.
Exactly.
So like, that's actually why I'm my own harshest critic, because like, if you've hearing me criticize other works, should hear me criticizing my own works. Oof. Royal Academy makes no sense. I was gonna introduce like a magic system. It's like, why would I don't even know if it's spoilers, because like, I would be gladly willing to tell someone about the plans for Royal Academy and like how grand scale it was going to get. But then I'm like, why is this so grand scale? What am I doing?
What
am I doing, man?
There's nothing wrong with having it on a grand scale. Like, I'm sure a lot of people would be very interested. A lot of your audience would be very interested in hearing your plans for Royal Academy.
No, you'd have to do a separate interview for it, because, like, I could probably go for this amount of time and more talking about it.
Okay.
Because I have to go through the time. I have to go through like the timeline of it.
Then we'll have to do that then.
Yeah, I'll have to do that someday.
Yeah.
The Royal Academy saga, breaking it down.
Absolutely.
And going through it's just going through it. Because that would probably be better for people, because they want to know what it's about. And I've basically told no one what it's about. I've told people. So some people are aware of like the ideas I had for it. But like, I'm much better at doing it in like a one-on-one discussion than I am writing it down, because everyone's going to have like different. People perceive things differently. It's so getting like the story across. People can interpret it in so many different ways.
Yes,
it is tiring.
Absolutely.
If you want to be like, it's like. So that's why I usually tell stories to myself, and most of my stories are kept to myself, because like. Do I even have a good story? Well, I've thought of stories.
Yeah.
I think I've had a few ideas that I'm like the man of like ideas that just don't go anywhere. I've done so many of those. Holy crap. Like, I think just looking at my DA page is like, you could be like, things I've started and never finished, of like the infamous one we all know about. Ugh. I feel so bad about that, but like, I don't know what to do. I did feel kind of broken when I'm like, basically I could look at my entire tournament and it's basically invalid. So it's like,
perfect segue. This tournament.
Perfect segue indeed.
People want to hear about the Royal Academy, and people want to hear about the Fandom Tournament.
That was a lot of work. I was pacing myself so fast with that, by the way. If you think about it, I was doing a Kizakai image a week, and like, to me, I was like, oh, these images are easy, but I feel like it's not that easily. It's like basically saying that my life is consistent, that I have time to do this, and it wasn't. I've always kind of gone through ebbs and flows in my life of like emotions and whatnot, like most people have. So somehow I'm special or whatever. But I was holding myself to a pretty ridiculous standard that I should not have done. I should have slowed it down. I kept making the idea bigger. I started with 8, and then I went to like 32 characters. Like, why did I do that? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And
a lot of the characters I was just doing because I was nice with the people I talked to. So I would include them because I wanted them to feel like they were a part of it. But that's just a shallow reason. I should have done it for me so that I was motivated to finish it. I don't care if people... I shouldn't have cared. It's like, I should stop caring if people care about my ideas, but I wanted people to care. I wanted to feel like I was doing something big. And when it came down... And then when that, like... I know jury losing, so a lot of people, it's like, oh, he's just salty that jury lost. And, like, maybe I'm reading too much into that. It's probably, like, 1 or 2 people said that. But, like... When I think it was the Hinata versus the cat lady or whatever her name is, or was it the Hinata one? Hinata versus Hinata came up and it was sheesh. Like we got like 1,000 votes for or over 1,000 votes like for both sides or something stupid, and I'm like, wait a second. This is ridiculous. What the hell is this? Someone is doing something sketchy here.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this completely invalidates the whole tournament because now it's basically on the whims of one person just wanting to see a certain character win. And it's like, that's not what it was about. It was about the community just picking their favorite girl and submitting stories and stuff. And then it became like one person's desire or a person's desire to see a character win. It's like, prove what? That you could manipulate the polls? I couldn't tolerate looking at it anymore. If I was to do it again, I'd be so selfish. I'd just do characters I wanted to do in it.
And they're
just like, screw it. It's like, screw all you people. I'm going to put characters I want to put in here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with being selfish. I think when you were doing the tournament, that was before I really started getting into DeviantArt. Because for the longest time, Lucky Fetish was the place for me to go. Like that was the place. That was the hub of Wedgie content.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
DeviantArt kind of was better for the community, though. I think it was just because the creators were on it, and like, I know, like, what about the stories that were written on the forums? And I don't know. I don't think the creators of the site really cared for it, but I don't know if I'm looking too much into it. I mean, it's sort of like the things of the. It stopped being as active.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm probably just assuming things, though.
No, it dropped off very fast.
Yeah. It didn't last. Couldn't have lasted. Well, then again, that's probably the whole thing about throwing shade and commenting on things. Is people having opinions is actually the best way to get a discussion going.
Yeah. And that is an interesting thing, because I did a podcast. I think the third episode that I did of this podcast was for Hans Gutherson and Shadow Melder, their story, Dueling a Knife. And one of the things they brought up was that they noted that on Lucky Fetish they got a lot more comments, but on DeviantArt they got a lot more views and favorites. Which is, I think, is a little bit interesting, just looking at like the.
Well, it's a forum. First off, it's a forum, so
Yes.
you're expected to read on that. Second off, DeviantArt is like art.
Right.
I mean, art is very broad, but I
It's
don't think there's music on DeviantArt,
it's
and
in
that's
the title.
art. I don't think DeviantArt has music, which is an art of some kind,
I don't think so.
and it has a very limited story platform. So, like, technically, I should have put my stories on the forum. That would have been a better format, but I put them on DeviantArt, and it's fine. It's easier to connect with people, I think, on DeviantArt, because you can see the people who like your stuff.
Right. Yeah, there's more functionality to it, and I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tournament was before I actually started exploring DeviantArt. So I'm not as quite as I definitely did see the some of the pictures that you like, the Peach versus the Princess Peach versus Shigo battle, I think, was one of them, and I saw some of those. But I don't think I was active on DeviantArt at the time.
That just reminds me of me. Like, I should sort my profile, and oh god, there's so much work there. I don't want to do it. Everyone go look at my shittily sorted profile images.
Yeah, it is interesting looking at, because when I scroll through your profile, I can see, like, it is interesting when, like, you can see, like, the dramatic change between the two characters in each matchup actually interacting with each other, and then it just switches to I win, I lose. And I guess that really is where you noticed, like, people were, like, as someone said in this Discord server that I'm a part of, they said people were gaming the system. I guess that's where that seems to be where you realize people were doing that.
I was, it's naivety. It was naivety. I was like, why would someone cheat the system?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they cheat the system? They want to see their girl with the underwear up their butts. It's like, of course, they want to feel pride.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like it's such a small thing to want to win. Like, at the end of the day, we all win because they all get wedgies. But, like, come on.
I did give up. Like, some people said I should have soldiered on through, but I just couldn't stomach it anymore.
Absolutely, yeah.
I think
go with your gut.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess I could do it again, but, like, it would be much slower, and it'd be much slower, like, every 2 weeks or so. I wouldn't do as many characters. I would do characters I like. There was no point for me to, like, include a bunch of characters that I don't like.
Yeah.
And there's nothing against characters I don't like, obviously. I feel like I have to say that, though, because some people feel like it's a personal attack against them. What do you mean you don't like this character?
Right. Yeah.
You gotta throw hands now.
Yeah.
That's it. We're throwing down right now.
Yeah. But no, I think I'm sure a lot of people would enjoy if you did it again, but I think there's no pressure. But if you were to do it again, I think one of the best things you could do is somehow I don't know how you would do it, but somehow make it so that it would be only one vote per person. Maybe like on each one.
Well, I have no idea how I would do the voting. I think I don't. I think therefore I am. I have no idea. Like, I think every voting system is corruptible if people put in like the minimum effort. So I'm like, every system is infallible or fallible. So like, what I probably should just do is, God, do you know about that like fighting game I whipped up, like that text-based fighting game? I'd probably just do that instead of an actual tournament.
No, the only fighting game that I think of was Mugen.
Yeah, but no, mine was. I use the word fighting game. And that's kind of deceptive. It's more like. It's technically like a 4-room game, or it's easy. I honestly think it's really easy to teach someone how to play. It's. I tried to make it as simple as possible, but I was just struggling to get the idea across. It's basically just. I always viewed it as rock, paper, scissors. It's essentially rock, paper, scissors with some extra layers to it.
Interesting.
The point of this is not to say that, but like if I was to do a tournament again, I would just do that, because that's two people who decide the outcome rather than a group of people. So they would represent a champion and they would play as them and they would try to get as far as they could in bracket. So it's not about who the votes, it's about who wins, like just playing the game. Like I would just have two people decide, because like I know that's not a community driven project, so it's not as engaging, but it's so much simpler to run. Depressing. It's like people are like, I want my vote to count. And it's like, I don't know how to get your vote to count without having someone spam 30 votes for their character. I would have to make a website, and like I don't feel like doing that. I don't feel like putting that much work in. I'm sorry, friends.
Yeah, well, so I'm gonna send you this link, and I'm gonna put the picture of the thing on the screen when the time comes, when this part comes up. But I'm gonna send you this link to this picture. It makes me think, when you say like rock, paper, scissors, like extreme, it makes me think of this. Extreme rock, paper, scissors.
You know, just give me a second. I'll get you a link to it. Actually, you know what? You're looking at my DeviantArt right now. Try this. It should be in my journals. Should be able to find it in my journals somewhere.
Let's see here.
Though, you gotta be careful. I'm racing you. I have to log in.
Well, I had to actually load up the fucking thing.
I have to remember how to get to my... Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah. arghtime. That's not gonna bring up shit.
My God.
You're probably gonna beat me.
How do I get to my...
There we go. I think I'm gonna beat you. No, you're gonna beat me. You're gonna beat me. Damn it!
I'm on posts right now.
This computer's old.
Oh God, that's not good.
It's slow.
Look, it's my birthday in the posts. Wow, I think the last two posters done by saying happy birthday to me. Ooh, yeah, I'm so good.
I think 3 of them.
I was looking for players. Here we go.
Yeah, you beat me. I just now got to your page.
Do I have the rule? I do have the rules. All right, I'm just gonna. I think I can just copy and paste this to you.
Okay. Yeah, that was.
And then you want to look at the basic rules. And.
Oh wow! There's a.
I'm pretty sure it's not that hard to understand.
Yeah, I have to.
God forbid, I'm an asshole, and God forbid, I'm apparently smarter than everyone. God, no, I'm not. Apparently, I'm really bad at explaining things.
Is there a page explain? Wait, get out of here, fucking thing. Is there a thing?
I think I said basic rules.
Explains? Is there a page that explains it? Because I see a bunch of characters. Yeah. Oh, wait, basic rules.
Basic rules.
Never mind.
Basic rules. Basically.
Yeah, well, it was loading because this is a Windows 7, and it's so that should give you a time frame of that's the basic operating system of this desktop is Windows 7, so that should give you a time frame of when this desktop was produced. Oh, let's see. Each player selects a character. Characters have unique traits, special super hit points of reader may vary. 1 of 5 attacks. I'm sure this is so interesting to people listening.
I think my computer's shutting down.
Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
Well, let's re-engage the listeners rather than the viewer, because I'm sure I can guarantee you 99% of people are not watching this; they're listening to it.
Yeah.
Something that I was requested for when I brought up the question of what I should talk with you about, and something that I immediately brought to my mind was you give a girl a wedgie, and in a more general sense, the U series. I want to pick your brain on that.
All right. Okay. So, basically, I just wanted you to be in the stories.
Mm-hmm.
I'm smiling right now. It's an easy joke, but it's basically I just wanted to make it feel like you were a part of the world or you were a part of the story. So I made 3 random characters and I gave you 3 3 endings. And, it was a nice little. It's not super complicated, but it was nice. I had some fun. I came up with these ideas. I came up with a situation and like 3 or 4 different endings to it.
Yeah.
And let the reader decide which one they liked best, and that's how it went.
Yeah. Well, so
I think it was my lack of confidence days, though, because you could tell, because I'm not confident in which story is the best, so I would come up with 3 in 1.
Yeah.
The same situation, but 3 different responses to it.
Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily think that, especially with you give a girl a wedgie. But I think because I read the other ones, I'm not necessarily sure that really. I don't think the lack of confidence really translates. I think it. Well, so I'll start with this. This is a quote from the writer JCCW.
Right.
When he said when I asked for things to talk about, he said the original Give a Girl a Wedgie story he wrote. That shit is legendary and must be discussed, and I completely agree. I think I really don't notice any lack of confidence. The first thing that comes to mind is those stories, the U series feels it as far as I'm aware, those are the first really choose your own adventure type stories in the community. They're not because you have Ciceda's I Know's Interactive Hunt and a couple other stories like that that are true choose your they have multiple different story and paths that you can take, but
much grander scales than mine. Mine were I kept them very.
But this
I focused it.
This
I get very unfocused. I focused my stories. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this was these were. As far as I'm aware, these are the first choose-your-own-adventure type stories in the community, and so they set the ground, they set the precedent, and other stories came after that. And in fact, I'll look it up right now just to be sure. Okay. No, I want to go DeviantArt. But I what he said is entirely I think you give a girl a wedgie. That was one of the first stories I ever found in DeviantArt, and that was one of the stories that cemented in my mind. DeviantArt is actually a place you can go for wedgie content.
Oh my god, there's content here.
Exactly, because I made an account a long time ago and just for shits and giggles, but I didn't do anything with it, and then once Lucky Fish started dying, but even before that, I was I just started like looking through it, and I found this. And I found this story. You give a girl a wedgie. Like, that's simple enough. Easily accessible.
It is a very simple title.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. I don't know much about you, so I had to put you in a situation where I could control you much easier. So you got teleported into a dimension where there's just 3 girls with visible underwear, and then it went from there.
Yeah.
You stories are tricky because, like, a lot of times what happens with you stories is they're like, you are this, and they try to assign qualities to you, and you are not that character. You are what the writer wanted you to be.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how do I get it so that the reader feels like they're in the story? And I'm like, well, I have to be super vague, very general, and the character really can't do much in terms of choices.
Yeah.
But that's the important thing, is it's broad, and I wanted to hit as many people as possible. I wanted everyone to feel like they were in that story, like they made that choice or whatever.
Well, I mean, as soon as the fucking page loads,
sounding noble or whatever, but that was my goal. Is I wanted to.
I think
you feel like you were in the story.
Absolutely, and so 2 things here. One, the U series that you put out is they're the only stories that I know of that are second person perspective. Every other story that I know of is first or third person. And so right there, that is wildly different from anything else I've seen, and so that's going to bring me in right away. And second of all, when you look at just the amount of what's the word? Exposure that this has gotten, you have 131,000 views on it and 562 favorites. God, that's got to be a record. It's ridiculous how much
stories.
Yeah,
that's a good question. What is the most favorited story?
I honestly don't know. Or like,
I would think it's one of Sasuke's, Sababa's stories. Sasupa's, Samada's, Chimichanga's stories.
Well, I'm about to compare it to. I'm looking up the first
you
actual.
Can't discount Sleep All of 2 Days, like Choose Your Own Adventure. Like
I've never actually looked into those.
Why don't I ever remember the name of that story? Sleep Butterfly Effect or something.
Sleep All of Today is definitely is someone that I've been following for probably as long as you, but I never. Oh, there we go. I never really. I haven't actually. It's not one of those. Not one of those things that I looked into every single story. Like I found the couple that I liked, and then I started following them, and I kept going. Like I just whatever they put out after is what I followed.
All right.
Where are you? Actually, it'd probably be easier just to go into my favorites. Let's see here. Yes, this is so interesting to people listening. You are welcome, listeners, for this ridiculously interesting.
Well, if you're wondering, my computer is actually frozen, and I can only hear you and talk to you. It's very interesting. I don't get it.
That is weird.
I don't get it,
actually,
but it still works.
Hey, as long as you can hear me, that's what matters.
Yep, and you can hear me. That's the other thing that matters.
Yes, and you are coming in very clean. I guess this is a good time to talk about, as a sort of side note, I did invest in a good microphone, and so the sound quality should be much, much higher. Yes, here we go. So, Aino's Interactive Hunt by Saseda, which is a true choose-your-own-adventure story, where there's multiple different pages and choices, and there's all kinds of different things you can do. So, like I said, yours has 131,000 views and 562 favorites. Comments don't matter because people comment or they don't. That's not a true metric. Aino's Interactive Hunt by Saseda has 43,000 views and 176 favorites.
Did he ever finish that?
Yes. And actually, yours was posted. Oh wow! 7 days after his, a week after his. So
clearly that means I'm the better writer. Clearly. Suck it.
I think what that means is that you truly captured what people were looking for, which is
nailed it.
Honestly, you should pat yourself on the back for that. You should applaud yourself, and I will applaud you real quick.
Oh, thank you.
Because that is something that eludes so many people, and I know you're gonna have to bear with me through this part because I know you're not the best with compliments, but it is quite the accomplishment that I can almost guarantee that is one of the most well-known stories in this entire community. And like I said in the very beginning, it's widely regarded as one of the best. Like when I asked people what they wanted to hear, that story came up more than any other thing, because it so
I'll be honest, I wish I probably should have asked what everyone's favorite story was or favorite ending was. I'm gonna be honest, I think it was a stroke of magical luck also, because I don't know which ending causes everyone to love it so much.
It's all of them. Every time I read it, I read it quite a bit, and I read all 3 endings every single time, because it really hits every normally the rule of thumb that I've learned with entertainment is that the more specific you are, the more broad of an audience you tend to reach. But with this, somehow you were able to reach basically every single aspect of the community, because you have the bully and you have the whitey tighties, and then you have the athletic girl, and she's asking you to give the wedgies, and she's got a thong, and then you have the actual wedgie fetishist who has the embarrassing underwear, and it just hits basically every single aspect that anybody in this community can have. And so in that way, if I were describing it, if I were to give it a descriptor, I would say it's the perfect wedgie story.
Like I said, I'm not entirely sure what to do with compliments, but thank you.
That's all you have to do. Is say
God, the people are gonna have to wait a long time to hear this in the interview. Oof.
Well, but
you should probably put a timestamp to this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna work on doing that kind of thing. Especially since
I do encourage it.
This kind of discussion does kind of allow for different timestamps as opposed to just discussing a story, or you're talking about the same story the entire time. This is we're talking about different things, and so we can we're talking about this thing here, and then we're talking about a different thing here.
Yep.
So I go ahead.
You know what? You go. No, you go.
Okay. Well, I wanted to dive into this story somewhat.
All right.
So this was published January 11th, 2015. Do you remember where you were at that time in life in general?
College dorm.
In your wedgie fetish?
I was in a college dorm room when I posted that.
Okay.
Yeah. College dorm room, and I was using it I was reaching out to the community that I've enjoyed for so long, that I was starting to post content and just give back to it in a sense, and really get my first interactions with the fetish community. Probably awkward. I wasn't the greatest. For someone being in college, you think I'd be good at this, but no. And I've always been a lurker online, so it's kind of wanted to give back. So a lot of my stories back then were just like little adventures I had, or little ideas I had that I wanted to execute on. And I did.
Very well.
And that one was the biggest hit.
Yeah.
I think the picture also helped get traction to it, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I don't really necessarily think of the picture when I see this story, but I do know the picture you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. It was... Oh, man, I forgot that. I can't even look up the artist right now because the computer's frozen, but I know I commissioned it from him. Oh my god. Well, I gave a shout out on the story, so you can just look at it and click on it and be like, oh, it was that guy.
Well, let's see. I'm gonna try and find it.
I don't need to find it right now. We gotta keep the people interested.
Well, oh yeah, okay, but
because we're already like 2 hours in or something. This will probably be the last topic before I gotta go. Oh god, I'm really good at this.
I mean, if nothing else, like that was. If you had done nothing else, I think, like I said before, like leaving a legacy. This would have been like if you would have left right then. This would have been all you had to do. This would have been your opus magnum. And magnum in a opus? Way, yes, yeah.
Here I am making sure you say it right, and I'm on to you.
That's good. I'm glad you corrected me. Yeah, your magnum opus. Because I think I've said opus magnum multiple times before in the previous podcast, and nobody said anything.
Well, that's why I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at the views and the favorites, it really does stand the test of time, regardless of how much time passes or what happens with the community. This really is one of the best we have, and it was
really good at writing stories about women with underwear up their butts.
Wow, that was 7 years ago. Jesus Christ, wow.
And I've come and gone.
Yeah.
And I still like to give back every now and again.
Mm-hmm.
I like to support the community, and I do lurk. I don't always comment. I'm not the greatest of comments. It's not easy to comment.
No, it's
like, people want to read it, because like commenting is because some people will do like nice job or good, and it's great and all, but it's so there's not much you can do with that. Like as a response, you're like thank you. That. Yeah, so like I always try my best to put effort into my responses or replies. Like, oh, I see you must have liked this part, or you must have liked it, or oh, did you like this character with their verse? I'll just add a little bit of extra stuff, and I think it makes me pleasant to talk to. But I've had my fair share of failures and stuff, and I am a flawed person, and I try to own it. I feel bad. It's probably why I get anxious or nervous or whatever, but you know, everyone's got it. It's not just a unique thing. It's about overcoming it your own special way.
Absolutely. So I guess to keep in the interest of having this go on too long, I would love to continue picking your brain about the fetish in general, but for however long we can go. But to bring this to a close, I'm curious what you think of the Wedgie fetish as a whole.
Oof. Nice, big, broad question where I need a few sentences to summarize what I think of the fetish.
That's the point!
I plead the fifth. As a whole, I think wedgies are kind of childish. They are. I mean, it's a schoolyard prank for a reason, generally. But you know, we can take it so far beyond, and we can do a lot of things with such a simple idea that I think it just goes to show that if there is passion and there are ideas, you can get a lot of creative things done with underpants.
Yes. We have definitely seen that. Okay.
I'm smiling.
Yeah, me too.
I am not opposed to coming back to another interview, but I think I should go.
Okay.
I think it has been fun.
Yes.
I hate to end it on this note. I don't
that's
think
fine.
actually no, it's not really. It's a good ending.
Well,
That's a good question.
Let's end it on this note. Do you have any plans for the future in this community?
Well, I think I'll still commission pictures for my birthday just for fun.
Okay.
And sheesh. I mean, I am trying to learn to draw, but that's like the loosest definition of trying. Ugh. And I could try writing again. I have some things I should write for people, but I've eaten myself alive on them. Maybe I should just do them. It's screw the people who'd say negative things. So basically just screw myself, actually. Oh my god, I say so many negative things about my own work. Oh my god. Everyone does, but holy shit, I am such a bad critic. Like, I could, oh my god. Just some lore in the Wedgie community, I could just rip into it, and it's like, Jacob, or god damn it. It's just, why are you so mean? And it's like, because I am so mean to myself. That's why. Oh my god. I am so mean to myself. And it does emanate into other, like, reading things I do. And I hate it. I don't want to be mean. It's not the point of me. Mm-hmm. I want to encourage people. So a lot of times I reframe it into I'm just asking questions because I care.
Yeah.
I do care. I'm interested. I want to see your story be the best it can be.
Exactly.
And that's what I should do for myself. And it's hard.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Because
it's so hard.
That's kind of why I haven't written in a while, because I don't want to put out something that I think is bad. I want to put out something that I know is of the level that I can put out, and that is actually really good. And
there are really harsh critics out there.
Yes, there are.
And you're always your worst, but you can find some people online that can be pretty mean too. So
yeah,
you just gotta be happy with what you put out.
Yes,
and
but you do also have to have standards.
You gotta have standards. If God forbid, people could say mean things, and like you look at those, and you just gotta be like, can I extract any useful information from this criticism? Yes. If they say your work is dotty doo doo poo poo water, that's literally useless. You can't do anything with that.
Yeah.
But if they give like I don't like how fast the story is going, then you can always reflect on it and see if you just kind of reflect on it, see if it is too fast for your liking, or maybe they just have a preference of slower stories or whatever.
Yes. Or like on the one Hans Gutherson podcast where the one comment was, add a girl to the podcast. Like, yeah, okay, yeah. How am I gonna do that?
Just find a sexy 3D waifu, easy.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's basically what I've been saying.
And that's how we end it, folks. We will never find 3D waifus. 3D Wedgie waifus? But do they exist? Probably.
Girls don't exist in the Wedgie community. That's how we're going to end it.
Yeah, they'll just end it like that, and that'll provoke them to come on. It's all a plan. It's all a ruse. They don't exist. And I exist, and we'll come on and be like, yeah, I love this. And then we're like, haha, if you fell right into my trap. I'm like, oh no. And then it's all downhill.
And that's why it's at the end, so they don't even see it coming until they get to the end.
Yep. The very end, where we just prove that girls don't exist. We've done it. They're all figment of our imagination. Okay, I think I gotta deal with my computer.
All right. Well,
do you have a good outro or something?
Sure. Yeah. This has been it's been absolutely amazing, fantastic, amazing talking to you and picking your brain about the fetish and your work, Arghtime. Thank you so much for coming on.
I hope people were entertained. And with that, I don't know how to actually end it.
Oh, don't worry. Please leave a comment, a like, a subscribe, a favorite, whatever you want to do. Tell me what I can do better.